Hi, welcome to What's Cooking with Rochelle. Today we are making banana cream pie. Who doesn't love pie? All right, so we are making a butter crust today. You've seen me make a shortening based crust in the past. This one we're gonna do a butter crust for. So to do that, we need to grate our butter. So to make it so it's easier, I have actually put these in the freezer for just a few minutes. And I'm gonna use just a piece of foil to help it so my hand doesn't get all slimy. You're just gonna take a box grater, that's what this thing is, and simply grate the butter. We are doing 2 sticks of butter, which is 1 cup. Get that out of the way. We'll get that little piece there in a second. Excellent. And we're going to go ahead and do the second stick, same way. This also protects your hand from getting your knuckles grinding on it. I have a tendency to do that sometimes. And since our body's hot, if you have a little protection from you and it can keep it from getting too hot. Voila. Okay, let's get all of our butter out. Get rid of that. Now to our butter here, we are mixing in 4 tablespoons of white sugar. If you wanted to use a different kind of sweetener or no sweetener at all, you could. We have a half a teaspoon of salt. And to this we have 2 1/2 cups of flour. I'm just gonna give this a quick stir. This was unsalted butter, by the way. And you do want to use butter, not margarine. Margarine has oil in it. It has a different water content. So I am simply adding this. We're going to just toss it around. And you get to get in here and get dirty as usual. One of the fun things about cooking, right guys? You get to make messes. We clean up our messes, but. Okay, so you're just going to get this work together to combine. Once you've got it combined, we are going to let it rest for a half an hour. Okay, so we've got this combined. Now to this, we are just going to add 4 tablespoons of cold water. I have mine in the fridge. Let me grab it. The reason we want the water cold is, again, it's going to keep the butter from melting. So we do want to keep that at the same temperature as the butter. And if you're noticing you don't have enough after you've got it combined, just add just a little bit of water at a time. Let's go ahead and dump this. Okay. And it does feel a little dry to me, so I am going to add just a hair more, but we're going to just wait and see for sure. So you can see how that scraggly mess is all coming together. In just a couple of minutes, you're going to have a really nice homemade crust. Obviously, you know you could buy one at the store, but this is going to taste amazing. So you can see after we got it all together, we're not going to need any more water after all. So be patient with your dough. Okay, I think I got it pretty much combined. Make it into a nice little ball. Give it a quick swirl. Looks good to me. We're going to put it in saran wrap, and this goes in the refrigerator to rest for a half an hour. And then we will go ahead and roll out our dough. See you back here in a half an hour. Okay, we have our dough. It's been resting in the refrigerator for a half an hour. What we're gonna do is lightly flour our mat. And of course, put our ball here in the center. Give it a good squirt. Make sure you have enough flour underneath and on top of it. You're going to take your rolling pin, and as always, you're going to start in the center and push out to the edges. And then we're going to flip it. And get it started. It'll loosen up as it gets a little bit warmer from being worked. The reason that we put it in the refrigerator is because with a butter crust, there is more of a tendency of it sticking, and we don't want that. Now, you know from seeing me do this from other ones, let's squish that together. You want to be able to push from the center out towards the edges, and you want to get a relatively thin crust. That's looking pretty good on that side. Now I can see the edges right here in this part of the pattern underneath. That's what tells me that part is thin enough. And this part is still just a hair too thick. There, now I can see it. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it's there. So you take your rolling pin, lift the edge of your mat, and put the crust on, and you gently lift the mat. We had a little bit of butter there, that's why that's sticking a little bit. Up as so. Take your pie pan, put it down, lift your crust, and then you simply unroll it. So as you can see, no worries. Now, lift from the edge and let it sink down in. You see how we're letting it sink on its own, making itself a happy rested place? Let's do this side. That prevents the dough from stretching and tearing. Okay. That's pretty good. Okay, so from here, a little bit more over here, we are going to pinch our crust. So you're going to pick up just a little bit and push it in between your fingers and make a beautiful fluted edge. Now there's lots of other edges we can make. If you guys ever wanted me to show you a few different styles, we could do a video on that if you'd like. Let me know in the comments and I'll make sure to shoot you something like that if that's an interest of anybody. And we'll get the rest of this done here fast for you guys. Now the reason I'm using this finger is to prevent it from folding out. We do want it against the edge. This banana cream pie, you cook the crust without the filling. So we are almost ready. Our oven is being heated to 350 degrees. I am going to put either, you could put tin foil or you can use a crust guard. You want to protect the crust because otherwise the top will get burnt before the bottom's done. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on that and put this in the oven. See you back here in about 15 minutes. It'll take about 15 minutes, guys. All right, so our crust is done. It is cooled. And we are going to cut the bananas for the bottom layer. If you were worried about them getting brown, one thing you can do is put a little bit of lemon juice in a little bit of water. Put the banana in that for a short period of time, take it out, and it will make it so that they don't brown. If you're going to be eating it in the first day or two, you don't need to worry about that. All right, so let's get rid of the butts. And we are just going to slice these about like so. Doesn't have to be perfect, but oh, that one's running away. And we're probably going to need 1.5 bananas for the bottom is what I'm guessing. And then we're going to need another one for the top. In case you didn't know also, we as Americans open bananas the wrong way. You're supposed to open them from this end, not this end. And if you do, they open very easily. For this, you want to make sure your bananas are not super ripe. I personally am one of those weirdos who I like a brown banana, but I know a lot of people like green bananas. The sugar content in the bananas changes as they get more ripe. Just a little trivia there for you guys. Alrighty. We take our pie crust, move that over for just now. And we are simply going to arrange these in a layer on the bottom, around the edge. Let's see how much we actually end up with. Now, if you wanted to, you could do this step once you had the filling made. And then you would put just a little on the bottom so they didn't roll around. But we're not that worried about that. Get 1 or 2 more in here. And there we go. Okay, so we'll let that sit there for now. And we are going to move on to the filling. So for the filling, you are going to need 2 whole eggs and 2 egg whites. And we are going to crack these into a bowl. And the egg yolks that we're using, the whites, the extra whites, we're going to put in this bowl. So again, I've shown you this before. You put your thumbs in, gently pull apart. You're going to rotate the egg from one to the other until you get rid of the egg white. And like, see how this one's got a whole bunch of jagged? Just roll it to the part where it's less jagged. That way there's less of a chance of you breaking the yolk. Okay, and we don't need that, so we'll get rid of that. We are just going to give these a real quick whisk together. The reason we're doing this is we're going to add these to the milk mixture once it's cooked. And we want them to be already combined. That's good. All right, so let's move over to the skillet, or this pot. We're going to go ahead and turn it on. Now, if you have a double boiler, you can use that for this, but you don't necessarily need it as long as you pay attention. So we are going to add in there a cup of white sugar, a cup of whole milk, and a 1/4 cup of cornstarch. We're going to go ahead and put that on a medium-high heat right now and get it combined. Once it's combined, I'm going to add the other 2 cups of milk. Okay, we have that combined. We're adding the other 2 cups of milk and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Okay, we're going to set this over here because once we get the milk mixture thickened, that's what the cornstarch is going to do. And if you don't want to use cornstarch, you can use arrowroot or some other thickener alternatives. But once it's thickened, we're going to add our egg yolk mixture here to that. Cook it for 2 minutes, and you want to make sure you do cook it for 2 minutes. If you've ever had a pie that, as we say, cries or weeps, that's because you didn't cook the eggs long enough so that the cornstarch didn't disintegrate when it's cooled. So make sure you cook it for 2 minutes. You can see that one's not boiling yet. As soon as it gets warm enough that it's going to be thick enough to start boiling it all, we want to definitely stir it consistently the whole time, otherwise you'll have lumps. Nobody wants lumps in their pie. So that's one of the keys, is making sure you got all the cornstarch mixed in. That's why we only added 1 cup first. And of course, keeping an eye on it while it's over there. So I'm gonna go stir for a while. It'll take about 10 to 12 minutes to thicken up, and then we'll add the egg yolks. Okay, so you see how it's thicker now? It's staying on the spoon pretty much, and you see how it's bubbling in the center? Okay, so that's how I know it's cooked enough now for us to add our eggs. So as you add the eggs, give them 1 quick stir, make sure they're all stirred up. You're gonna wanna pour and whisk vigorously so that the eggs don't curdle. Okay, and once you've got all the eggs in here, then your 2 minutes starts. Okay, so it's been just about 2 minutes. Make sure you've got that full 2 minutes in so that you don't have a pie that's crying. And that your eggs are fully cooked. Okay, turn off the heat. Take it over. Now, there's 2 other ingredients, as you can see, we're going to add to our cream pie. As you can see, I'm whisking it. I'm doing that to kind of get some of the heat out of it to cool faster. The next 2 ingredients, we have a tablespoon of vanilla. And that adds some flavor. You could do even a banana extract if you wanted to. And then the last thing is butter. So we have 4 tablespoons of butter. And we are going to melt this into it. That's what will give it that smooth, shiny glow. And again, as you're whisking this, it's what will make it cool, so we're not cooking our bananas. You don't want it to get a skin on the top of it. That's where it, like, you know, if you've ever made pudding, even instant pudding, how it gets that film on the top. Now, alternatively, you could do a graham cracker crust, you could do a vanilla wafer crust, you can even do a chocolate crust if you wanted to get exciting. Chocolate and banana goes together. If you've never made, maybe I should make those for you one day, where you take the banana and you dip them in chocolate. All right, we are going to, obviously with our mat, pour this over top of the pie. I'm doing it gently at first so that our bananas don't get displaced. And then we're going to dump the rest in. Okay, give it just a little quick shake. That'll set it so that it's smooth on the top. This has to go in the refrigerator and cool for at least 4 hours. We want it to be completely cooled, and then we're going to decorate it with some homemade whipped cream and more bananas. See you back here in a few hours. Okay, so while we're waiting on our pie to cool completely in the refrigerator, let's go ahead and get the whipped cream made. Now, obviously, you can buy whipped cream. You can buy it in the can, or you could buy it in a tub. We're just going to show you how easy it is to make. So I am going to have a cup of heavy cream, heavy whipping cream, that I'm going to put in a clean bowl. Now, whipped cream is easier to make if you use a glass or metal bowl versus plastic. And we are going to beat this on high for just a couple of minutes, and you'll see how it'll come together. Okay, so you can see how it's almost soft peaks right now. To this, we're going to add a half to a teaspoon, depending on how strong you want, of vanilla. And I'm adding a teaspoon and a half of cornstarch to make it thicker, to set more, so we could do more fun stuff. And then however much powdered sugar you want for actually making it sweet. Otherwise, it won't be sweet at all. Okay, so now that we've got our whipped cream whipped and you can see how it's holding the shape, we are gonna go ahead and put it in a pastry bag. So this is a quick tip. Use a glass. It can be any size, any type of container. Put your pastry bag in it, fold it over top, and then open it up. Then you can very easily fill it. Okay, you see how easy that was? So let's go check and see if our pie's ready and we can decorate it yet. All right, so we are at the last step. Our pie has cooled. We've got our whipped cream in our bag. So we're gonna go ahead and start and make a design around the edge. You can make whatever design you want. And then let's make one in the center. All right. I got a little dribble there, but we'll get that off in a minute. Okay, so let's stack our bananas. Around. Excellent. And we'll put one in the center there. And voila, banana cream pie. So now I can cut myself a piece and finally get to dig in. All right, time to eat. Banana cream pie, everybody. This is such a wonderful dessert. Truly an American classic, I believe. Maybe not as much as apple, but pretty close. A homemade pie so totally beats anything you get at the store. If you like this pie, you might want to try one of my others, such as the pumpkin or apple pie I have on my channel. Or if there's another particular kind of pie you'd love for me to make, let me know. I believe there's pecan up there as well. This is a great dessert, and if you make this for your friends or family, they will think you are God. Thank you for watching What's Cooking with Rochelle. Bye for now.